understand fear as I have.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the Nintendo Enthusiast Podcast, the podcast which just won't stay down. Today I'm joined again by Alex and Matt. Say hello.
Hello.
And we promise this time it won't run for 2 hours. I've scheduled it. I'm going to guesstimate about 40 minutes, but we'll see how that turns out. I won't fix this in editing.
Oh,
yeah, 40 minutes seems
it's,
enough.
Yeah, it just depends on how much our intellectual blue balls have to release.
Oh, yes.
That's our phrase of the week.
Oh, man. That was so good.
Yeah. So, we've got a little bit, compared to last week, a little bit to talk about, but some really, really cool things about. And the first one, and probably the most significant one, because A, it came out of absolutely nowhere. I thought this was dead and gone forever. And B, we were just talking about it last week, or the week before last week. That's really, really cool. So, lines up nicely for us. Don't we look smart?
Yes, usually.
Mm-hmm. Before you actually mention it, what else happened? About 4 weeks ago, we also talked about Nintendo's shortcomings. Or was it actually 2 weeks ago? Yeah, but, things they should do with the marketing here and there, just all this crap. And then, like, a few days later, they came out with this whole thing that they talked to with investors about. And it was pretty much every single thing we talked about. They mentioned it as well. So, obviously, one of us is a fortune teller, but we won't tell you which one.
I'm gonna say it's the one with the gypsy accent. Me, obviously.
well, Mexicans read cards too.
That's right. Oh man, good stuff. But no, I thought that was very strange that we had just talked about something and then Nintendo came out and was talking almost exactly verbatim what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I think they're just using us for their marketing now.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would use us more. I mean, I'm looking forward to a Wiimote and Wii Sports 2 packed into a Wii U.
Yeah. Yeah, they said they were going, like, I think in that big PR, IR, whatever article that they have written up, they were talking about how they were going to target the families and their Wii owners and all that sort of stuff again, so it makes sense to do it again.
Oh yeah, it would be smart.
And Nintendo Land's good, but it's different.
Mm-hmm. It's not Wii Sports.
It's Wii Play.
Yeah,
no,
it's Wii Play.
It's hard for me to actually agree to that. Have you guys played it on multiplayer?
Oh yeah.
Oh well, so I don't get it then, because when you play it multiplayer, it is amazing, but not everybody gets a chance.
Did you play the Tanks game in Wii Play multiplayer?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I did not play it in multiplayer, but the Tanks game to me is one of the funnest games on the Wii. I mean, I made it to like level 50. I got so thoroughly addicted to that. It paid for Wii Play by itself.
Yeah.
It reminded me of that tank game on the NES. I just honestly don't remember the name. Battle Tank? Is that the one? Iron Tank? No, Battle Tank.
Battle Tank. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Battle Tank.
It was amazing. Dude, that game was amazing.
I love that whole genre.
Yeah. I mean, I was too young to remember the genre, but I played the hell out of this game, and I played it multiplayer as well, and all that stuff. Actually, I don't even know if this had multiplayer, but playing the Wii Play one multiplayer, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, well, the one on the Atari was awesome. I mean, like, whenever you went to your buddy's house, you put in, and I think it was just called Tank. That was it, and it had like 16 stages that you could, you know what I'm saying, your buddy started on one side, and you started on one side, and you try to get your shot off on, you know what I'm saying, your other people.
Yeah.
And this is back on the Atari. So, I don't know. But anyways, the new tank game, like we don't even need to talk about that. I got so bad off addicted to it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So to tie it back, yeah, we play. Yeah, it had that amazing game, but I don't think it's the same as Nintendo Land because Nintendo Land, like there's several game modes in Nintendo Land that are actually pretty incredible if you play the multiplayer. It just sucks that I think it's like if you play it single player, it's better. It's way better than Wii Play, but if you play it multiplayer, it's maybe not as good as Wii Sports.
I think I can agree with that. I'm picking up what you're throwing down.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that the game. Nintendo Land has got so much content in it, and it is gaming, like gameplay based. It's got proper game mechanics. They're proper games. Even things like the Animal Crossing. I actually have a lot of fun in the Animal Crossing one with my friends.
Right.
But Wii Sports it's not so much for gamers or like people wanting to play a game as such. It was just like I'd get drunk and I'd bowl with 3 of my friends.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, Nintendo Land has got a bit of sophistication to it. It's more fun if you're drunk, but at the same time you can't get your grandma to play, Chase Me or whatever with you.
Right.
One of those games. Whereas bowling, you could get your grandma to break her spine.
Yes, you could.
Yeah, but I think it's the difference is like Wii Sports wasn't perceived as gaming as such. It was just local sports.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was like you treat it the same as like going out bowling, but you didn't go out.
No, that's exactly right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Whenever it was your turn, you stood up with your Wiimote, you bowled, you sat down, your cousin got up, or your buddy got up, or your brother, or your sister. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You went in a rotation just like you were at a bowling alley.
And it was more about, like, while you were doing this, it was just, like, you sitting around with a bunch of friends or your family or whatever, and it was about, and you have, like, normal conversations, and it was more about family time than Nintendo Land is, because that makes you focus a lot more on gaming itself, on the game.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right about that.
I totally agree with that. It was more of a community thing. Everybody got it, just did it. You know what I'm saying? We were having Wii Sports parties.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not having a Nintendo Land party.
No.
I need a Wii Sports too, so I can have more Wii Sports parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, going back to games that we thought were dead, but is now coming to the Wii U.
Do you want to say it? You can say it.
Man, Eternal Darkness 2 is freaking coming. I'm so excited. I'm probably whenever it comes to storylines, for me, Eternal Darkness is it may be my favorite storyline based game like ever. And it was just, I don't know. I don't understand how it didn't get its props, but I went through it 4 times. Like, I beat it with every god so that I could see what Mantarok actually did to them at the end of beating it 4 times. You got the true ending after you did that. Did y'all do that also?
Yeah, I did that. I played the game way more than that. Like, I just finished it over and over again. I got that ending probably like 5 times.
Right. I'm the same way, but I just wanted to stress that the story was so good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You wanted to find out
what happened to Zelatoth, and I wanted to know what happened to Yulinov and Chaturga and Mantarok, and I just had to have all that. I wanted to know all that, and now we're getting a content-based Eternal Darkness 2.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was sort of like really excited when they said this, but I kind of just quelled it within me until right now, where I saw the trailer. I just saw it right now.
Yeah.
Man, do I want this now? Like it just takes me back to that church.
Yes.
It's awesome. Oh.
Yes. Oh man, the Paul Luther in the first one. I mean, I would say it was many of people's, you know what I'm saying, favorites. There's a lot of favorite moments in that
saddest.
game. Yeah, but Paul Luther is just, I mean, he's
most,
just, man, it's just it's gripping, you know.
I think that's the chapter that defines the game, in my opinion. That that takes it from being just a gory horror game, like many games that were made back then, and takes it into like, oh nope, this is Cthulhu land now. You're actually going to see unimaginable horrors, and your characters you care about, they have no hope of surviving. It was amazing in my opinion. Like it was so good.
Yeah, and what they're doing with this new, and first off, I was absolutely stunned when this was announced for a myriad of reasons. First being Eternal Darkness 1. It could not have sold that well. I don't know what it sold, but
it wasn't a huge number.
No,
I mean, and to be honest with you, I don't even know if it was 500,000.
Yeah, it didn't get. It was on a small install base, and it didn't get the recognition it deserved within that small install base. The second reason is Silicon Knights They split off from Nintendo just after that one, I think, and made a string of fairly terrible games, even though I was super, super pumped for Too Human until the day it released. Because it looked like there was one cutscene I saw which it showed like a Norse god sitting in a bar and then some mechs attacked. And it just like that fusion of like the mecha universe and like Norse mythology. It was crazy, awesome.
I was interested in. I was more interested in it just knowing that the creators of Eternal Darkness had made it. You know, but even at that, I knew I was never going to get that game. There was just something about it that just wasn't right.
Yeah.
You know.
And they were pushing that as like the first of a trilogy, and clearly that didn't happen.
No.
And then I had the whole issue with Epic Games over the Unreal Engine, which ended up in a counter lawsuit, which then demolished the entire developer.
Yep. So let me ask y'all this: how do y'all feel about the episodic content, or the way that it's going to come out? And I'll tell you how I feel about it first. I can't help but to want the whole game on one disc.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course. But are you willing to pay for the episodes, though?
Oh yes.
And now they got you. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't not do it. You know, like I can't, like you said, to play another chapter like Paul Luther's or Alberto Bianchi's or Maximilian Roy, to play any one of them 3 chapters, I would play through all 12.
Yeah. And if they release it like episodically, if there's, I don't know what kind of breaks they'll put in between it, but can you imagine like coming off of like a Paul Luther episode and having to wait 3 weeks for the next one?
See, that's what's killing me about it. That right there is exactly what's bothering me about it, is that, and what if they're all that awesome? Like, am I going to have to wait like 8 months to finish the game?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big issue.
Yeah, and you couldn't possibly, you'd be like, okay, that's it, I'm going to wait till they do like the Game of the Year where it's all on one disc and I can just sit down and just kill it. Because you probably won't last that long.
No, I won't last that long. And I'll tell you what else, whenever that game comes out, I'll buy it too.
So let me ask you a question, like how come, because the game is getting crowdfunded, they're asking us to pay for the development of the game. So why do we still pay for episodes after that?
Well, because I'm not crowdfunding it.
So what about the people that, it's crazy for them to ask, yeah, please pay all of us. pay for all the monies involved in developing this game, but then you're not gonna get the content except like every few weeks. Like, what do you mean? We already paid you. Why can't you just make it into a single disc? Since we already paid you to do it that way, you're not testing the waters anymore at that point. We already paid you.
Yeah, I don't know if like the crowdfunding ensures like what they do well. What other developers do is if you crowdfund them, you get like alpha access or whatever, and you get in on the ground floor and just keep getting the updates. It's just like how Minecraft worked for its entirety of its lifespan. And so what they'll probably do is they'll give the people who crowdfunded it to whatever level they did the episodes maybe early before the other ones, but they can't. If they're releasing them as they're developed, so if they're like doing the episodes one at a time in terms of development, they can get it out sooner. Well, start it off sooner, and then just give everyone the drip feed of it. Charge people who haven't paid, don't charge people who have paid, but there's no way they could do the whole thing with that $1.5 million. It's like the more money you throw at them, they can't make it faster to the point where they give you the whole thing in one go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that. But what I'm saying is that it feels a little weird that they're basically accepting the money for the entire series. Then they're only going to be releasing them a little bit at a time. I agree that if that means they release them as soon as one is done, they get one done, they push it out, they make the next one, they push it out, and so on. Then okay, I sort of see that. But why aren't we crowdfunding for just the first episode?
Okay, I see what you're saying. So you're thinking that they're going to make enough money to make the next 11 chapters off of that one chapter that comes out?
No, it's only for the next one until just to only enough that they can make the next one and know that they have an audience to keep selling them to.
Oh, okay, okay.
I mean, whatever, like as long as they make all the money.
Yeah, but even like if they crowdfunded the first one and it turned out to be really successful, they could then be picked up by a publisher to fund them.
Mm-hmm. Why hasn't Nintendo picked them up?
I don't think they want to be picked up.
Oh.
I mean, that's the whole deal, really, that Dennis Diak probably doesn't want anyone picking it up.
So he wants to come back to Nintendo and bring Eternal Darkness too, but he doesn't want to work under Nintendo again. How does that make any sense?
Well, he's had a lot of issues with publishers, so I would understand that he's wary of them.
Well, that's true.
Especially Nintendo, because Nintendo are particular about how they manage their own subsidiaries.
Yeah.
True.
Although I don't know how they got I don't know who owned Eternal Darkness. I don't know if it was Nintendo's, like Nintendo had the property because they basically ran Silicon Knights as a second party publisher. In which case, did Dennis Diak then buy the rights to it back?
I don't know, because I mean, if you read inside the instruction booklet, I mean, it says that all rights and everything about the game is owned by Nintendo.
Yeah.
So I don't. Could Nintendo have approached him after all the lawsuit went down and stuff and said, "Hey, y'all did make this amazing game for us, even though it didn't sell a whole lot. What if we, let y'all use y'all's own stuff again and make us a sequel?" Could that have happened?
Well, I think there's probably there's a careful choice of words in calling it a spiritual successor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not a sequel.
Otherwise it would just be called Eternal Darkness 2.
Right, yeah. I'm sorry for calling it ED2. But that's just...
No, it is what it is.
Yeah, what my mind goes to.
No, and they already said it in the trailer. He says, this is the spiritual sequel to Eternal Darkness. That's fine. That's what they want you to think.
So I wonder if it's going to have any of the Roivas family in it.
Yeah, I don't know if they can touch the lore of the first game.
Right.
I wouldn't mind. I don't really care.
If it's a spiritual successor, then basically what that means to me is that they could essentially start a whole other, like, not only did the events of Eternal Darkness happen to the Roivas family, but there were a whole lot of other families out there or people out there that are all intertwined into one that had not similar, but had things happen.
Well,
So
it's
it
real
allows
easy
them-
for them to do it, though. Remember,
Yeah.
Because of the end of Eternal Darkness, they just leave it open that, yeah, I mean, anything can happen. Like, isn't Mantorok just waiting to come back or something, like regaining his strength? So,
Yep.
it could be slightly, I don't know. Yeah, just slightly in the future and then affecting a different family in the past. I don't know.
Yeah, they can do like they can do their parallel universes thing on this one.
Yeah.
That's not too hard.
That's
Man.
true. There's already that. Yeah. So,
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's really a lot that can. Oh man, it just gets my mind racing just sitting there thinking about like how bad I want this game. Like, just how. I mean, the story really and truly can be anything. It could even be New Gods. I mean, there's so much that you can actually do with that property. It's really sad if you think about it that it's laid dormant for this long.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about it, who said there's only those 4 gods?
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you could literally do anything you wanted with. You don't have to stick to the Roivises. You don't even necessarily have to stick to the exact same storyline. I mean, I don't know. It's almost like, how Nintendo talks about having evergreen titles? This is almost like an evergreen franchise as far as that you can literally make it fresh and reinvent it every single time you make it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we have like brand new hardware to use the whole sanity thing with as well.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I mean that gamepad could screw with you.
They are making it for PC at the same time, so hopefully that doesn't get in the way of them using the gamepad in cool ways.
I hope they personalize it up and do things like, have you ever turned, when the gamepad gets out of sync with the system and it has like
that? That's brilliant.
Oh, that's awful.
You're
There's
about to
everything, man.
Something.
The volume of the gamepad, the sticks getting that on sync like they always did in the controllers, like the touchscreen going crazy, getting the whole gamepad getting on sync, the home menu coming up, the TV controls.
We have speakers on the gamepad as well. It's like whispering in your ear, like we can do all sorts of crazy crap with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that is going to be. I mean, just my mind is racing right now, just thinking of ways that it could just really. And what would be awesome too is actually if in game they have similar stuff happen to you where you question. You know what I'm saying? Well, maybe my sanity's just not right now. But it's actually part of the end game, and it's already tricked you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Wii U actually, the Wii U supports proper surround sound as well, which is, I mean, you have the surround sound and then you have the gamepad sound as well. So you've got like speakers behind you, speakers in your hand. I think the audio thing could be really, really cool with that game.
It was really huge in the first one with the Dolby Pro Logic too. I mean, at that time I was living in an apartment and I had a sectional, and I actually wrapped my 2 back speakers right around the sectional, and then I had the other 3 right literally in front of me. Man, that game freaked me out. It freaked me out.
It had some amazing sound. Yeah, I like all the little scratches, whispers, everything going around all around you.
Yep.
Yeah.
The screams.
Whenever you cast the spells was just plumb wicked. Yeah. I mean, I definitely liked Yulianth the best just because it didn't sound like so crazy, but like Zelatoth, oh my god, every time I dreaded casting a Zelatoth spell.
Very cool. Whoop. So yeah, and also this game will be on the Wii U, and it will be running on CryEngine. The one of those engines which just doesn't work on the Wii U apparently, unless you ask Crytek, who actually had it running on the Wii U.
Yeah, they're like the only ones that believe it, and it's their engine.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah. It was the most graphically impressive engine, most intensive engine and everything, blah, blah. Oh, look, we had it running on the Wii U ready to launch, but EA pulled the pin. Must be our fault.
Right.
How do you think developers give me a second. Like EA's always talking all this stuff about, Frostbite, we got it so good, we can't even get it to run on the Wii U. How do you think DICE feels about that? Like, what do you mean we can't get it to run? Like, is that a challenge? Do you want us to make it run on the Wii U? Because we can. That's what they do. That's what they're hired for.
Yeah, it's like, they managed to make like the game look pretty similar on like Battlefield stuff looks pretty similar on the PS3 and the 360. They're fairly different consoles. They use older architecture than the Wii U has in it, but it's similar older architecture, so it's all PC based.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we've got Battlefield 4. It's the best looking game ever. It runs on a brand new engine, which happens to run on 6-year-old consoles, and the PC. But geez, the Wii U, that's tricky.
You might as well ask us to run it on a toaster.
Yeah. And then you have guys like Dennis Dyack and his 4 friends, or any one of the million indie devs who, the little guys working out of their apartments, and they're like, oh yeah, we got it running on the Wii U in a week, whatever.
Yeah.
Must be way too difficult for the teams of 400 people with $60 million budgets.
Yeah, it must be killing them. Sounds like it would be difficult for me.
I mean, I don't understand why they have such a hard time just telling us the real reasons. Like, we just can't spend that money. We just don't have the money to do that. That's all it takes. Just say that. Like, we don't have the money. We don't have the personnel. And then when they finally do, like the people from Metro Last Light, somehow the internet goes crazy. Like, oh my God, you haters! How can you hate so bad? Why are you so pretentious? Who are you? It's like we're a small team. We don't have the personnel to do it.
Yeah. Well, actually, their first comment wasn't quite like that.
No, they were very harsh. Yeah.
Their first comment was what they were actually trying to say was the CPU architecture is
not powerful enough. Yeah.
It's very. Yeah, well, the CPU architecture is very different, and I think what they do is they ran a lot of single-threaded computations on their engine, and that's not what the Wii U's about. But then again, that's not what the PS4, that's not what the next Xbox, that's not what mobile platforms are about. Everything is about parallel processing these days, and they were relying on old school tech.
Yeah, I mean, they were basically saying, the way the Wii U works, it doesn't have enough power for us to run our, the way we have it coded. Because it's the same thing for PCs. If you want to run GTA 4, it takes a really powerful CPU because it has, it's made for consoles, so it has outdated architecture. And when you try to run it on PC, you're not actually taking advantage of the PC's architecture, of the actual CPU architecture.
You've got 2 cores doing squad all and the other 2 grinding away.
Yeah, it's literally the same as running the Dolphin emulator or pretty much any emulator on a PC. You need way more powerful components than were present in the actual console back then.
Yeah.
But they did phrase it in an ambiguous way, and they were pretty. I guess it took them quite a while to clarify that. No, we just mean we don't have the team to get all of that stuff working in such a way that it runs on the Wii U.
Yeah, and that's completely fine. I mean, a lot of people are like, this game would make millions of dollars for you on X platform or whatever. Why don't you just invest it? But it doesn't always come down to throwing more money to get a solution, when what you actually need is to pull some of your guys off of the team, like off of what they're doing, to do ports and things.
Right.
And when you're building, if you're doing like a concurrent release for all the platforms, you can't say, when we're done with this, we'll then take some of our guys and a pile of money and port it to this, because they don't have the simultaneous resources to do it.
Mm-hmm.
In just manpower.
So let me ask you this, and since we're still on the topic of Eternal Darkness, how is it going to be released? I mean, is it going to be episodic content through the virtual console?
Yeah, I think it'll be digital distribution.
That makes sense. I mean, they have less money.
I mean, I knew it would be physical, but I'm just thinking, is it going to go through the virtual console? Is it going to, you know what I'm saying, be in the eShop? Like,
I mean, yeah, eShop.
eShop, yeah, it won't be a virtual console. Although, if Nintendo is on board with this, they really need to get Eternal Darkness on that virtual console.
Absolutely,
dude, absolutely.
Because there are so many people would have missed it the first time around, and they need to play it.
Yeah, yes. I mean, you think I'd rather spend $20 on Eternal Darkness 1 or $8 on Super Mario World for the 10th time, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
And if they release these, like, releasing GameCube games at, like, $20 or whatever, which is entirely reasonable for everyone, it expands getting a $20 GameCube game almost puts pressure on the $15 indie games as well, because you're getting a full-fledged, like, big console game.
That's true, too. And I'll tell you something that I've realized the more that, like, we do these podcasts and we talk, how underappreciated sometimes, just because obviously the GameCube was one of the least selling Nintendo consoles. How many amazing games was on the games that, you know, the GameCube to me would rival as even second to the Super Nintendo. I mean, as far as just having just awesome games, Eternal Darkness was amazing. The Metroid Primes are some of the greatest games of all times. Resident Evil 4 is probably my favorite Resident Evil ever. It was, just mind-blowing. There's just, and I'm just rattling off a few just to, you know what I'm saying? God, there were just so many awesome games on the GameCube that nobody got to experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. They have to get on board with that, because a lot of people were playing the PS2 during this time. So
yep,
you're right. Exactly there are a lot of people that missed out on these great GameCube games and actually want to go back and revisit them. So just put them there, Nintendo, since you're obviously listening to us.
And and now that they've stripped the backwards compatibility of the GameCube for obvious reasons. I mean, it does put extra ports on your console and stuff.
Yeah.
But even having like those like the GameCube compatibility on the Wii, for a lot of people it was still unreasonable, just because how do they get the GameCube games without lowering themselves to eBay, and for regular people, for casuals or whatever, that was probably too much to ask.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to replay them because I collect them. You know what I'm saying? If I buy a game, I keep it. So, you know what I'm saying? For me, it was totally reasonable. That being said, I still didn't play like GameCube games really on my Wii. It wasn't the most easy process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just played them on my GameCube.
Yeah, I play them on my GameCube.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be good to have that virtual console expansion for multiple reasons, because I mean we've all, like, the Wii had a fairly extensive virtual console that went up to the 64, and I actually had a great time with I played a few 64 games I'd never played before.
Sin and Punishment was one for me.
Yeah, I got that one. That was cool.
Yeah, I mean, because we didn't get it in the States.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I played the Super Mario RPGs as well, the 64 ones. They were pretty cool.
I didn't do those.
No.
Paper Mario? Yeah.
No.
I played it back when it came out on the 64, and I think what I felt back then was that it just didn't live up to Super Mario RPG. And I know there's a lot of people out there that feel the opposite way. They played Paper Mario first, and then they go back and play Super Mario RPG, and they don't see the big deal. But yeah, I mean, I was never big into it, so I never actually finished the GameCube Paper Mario, and I tried to finish the Wii one, but even forcing myself, I just couldn't do it.
I did finish the Wii one, actually. I liked it. Super Paper Mario.
Mm.
Yeah, I like that one. It was pretty fun. It had some like dry parts to it.
Yeah.
Some pretty barren parts, especially like when it flicked into that 3D view, it did like break down a little bit because it was so empty.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what, I've figured this out about myself as I'm getting older. I'm a sucker for any game that has like 1,000 or 100 chamber dungeon. And Super Paper Mario had two of them. It had a dark one and it had a light one.
Yeah.
And I think they were only 50 level, but still, like Wind Waker is one of my favorites, and the most memorable is getting to the bottom of the 100. The 100 stage dungeon or whatever it was in the Wind Waker. I mean, I don't know. I'm and I don't know why. Like I'm a sucker for those.
Yeah. So yeah, not so much with the original Mega Man. How you had to go through all those boss fights. Before you got to Wily.
I'm like Alex. I mean, I beat it, but it wasn't the most enjoyable time I ever had in my life.
Yeah.
No.
Mega Man 2 is miles better. Just miles and miles. It's like exponentially better.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, they stopped. It stopped being like an arcade game, or I don't know, like that feeling from the first one of just like, here are your lives, slog through these things now. And it was big. It was big work, Mega Man. And going back to it, I'm like, wow, I've gotten old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have the patience for this these days.
No, I mean, it's amazing to me, like, that I beat countless Nintendo games, the NES games whenever I was a kid, like it was no problem. And if I go back and play Ghosts and Goblins right now, I mean, I'm mad by the time I get out of the graveyard.
Yeah. So moving along, the next Call of Duty has been announced. What a big surprise!
Isn't this? I see a trend.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on the 9th one. Obviously, they're onto something here.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're going for 3 trilogies. They're going to do big box sets.
3 trilogies. Goodness.
Yeah, I think that's like the magic number. Well, like George Lucas and Spielberg are like mad about their trilogies as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, they love the trilogies.
Well, I mean, so was Peter Jackson.
Yeah. Well, he only has 1 trilogy, doesn't he?
Yeah,
so far.
But The Hobbit's going to be 2.
It's going to be a trilogy, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's split into 3 parts.
Oh man, let's not talk about the Lord of the Rings, man. That's gonna be like 3 podcasts.
Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
A trilogy. It's gonna be a trilogy of podcasts.
Yes. All right. That was pretty clever. Okay, moving on.
Yeah. So, the new Call of Duty is called Ghosts, and of course it was revealed with a trailer which showed nothing except for masks. So that's the symbolism I get from it.
No.
But apparently the actual reveal of the game will be at Microsoft's Dog and Pony show about their new console at the end of the month.
It's the 21st, ain't it? May 21st?
I think so, yeah.
I think they've picked like 2 weeks out from E3 to try and steal some thunder.
And Dog and Nintendo for doing basically the same thing with the Nintendo Directs.
Yeah, which is why I think they should put a Nintendo Direct on the 20th and just announce all their big games with gameplay footage.
Oh, that would be awesome.
So, yeah. E3 is now during May 21st. I guess.
Yeah.
So Microsoft will show off their box, and they'll show off their actual Call of Duty, which will probably be gameplay of explosions and men diving through the air. And then I don't know. They could even announce like a DLC, like a day 1 DLC pack for like a launch day bloody Call of Duty thing, because they like to do that sort of stuff.
Definitely going to have a launch day Call of Duty exclusive Xbox, Nextbox, Xbox 720, whatever it is. You'll definitely have that too.
Mm-hmm.
Because they actually have like both both Sony and Microsoft have an issue with when it comes to securing exclusive games for their unannounced or unreleased consoles. In the fact that they have these massive install user bases with like running games with like Call of Duty, which sell like billions of copies a year, and I don't know if like graphically stepping it up with the next box is gonna be enough to tear these people away.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, that's always been, where my go-to argument that just because it's Call of Duty doesn't mean it's going to sell the new console. Like, the reason people buy Call of Duty now is because their bros already have Call of Duty on that console.
Yeah. So you don't want to be
it's not just going to be
pro by itself.
Yeah, it's not going to launch itself. It's going to take a year or two, like a couple of years before you have frat parties filled with Xboxes, frat houses filled with Xboxes. Etc.
It won't take long. I mean, if the Call of Duty craze keeps on, then I mean, if it's a launch title, which obviously I'm sure it will be, there will be a lot of people that buy it. They'll forego the 360 version to go on and pick up the new. And you think about it too, it's going to be right there around Christmas. There's going to be a lot of people asking, "Oh, I want the Xbox. Make sure it's got the Call of Duty with it."
Well. That also brings up the point of whether these people are gonna spend, above $400 for a new Xbox and a new Call of Duty if they can just get the same Call of Duty in their 360.
I'm curious about this as well. Really and truly, the price points is I was nervous
massive
about Xbox, but now after seeing the PlayStation 4, I'm just like, okay, I pretty well know what they're gonna do, and I'm just not impressed. And so I'm curious now about the price point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, that's where they're literally going to have to blow some people away at.
Yeah. They could do, it was something they were rumored to do with the Xbox 360 a while ago, was to go to a subscription model, like phone contracts. And so you take a huge chunk of the cost of the console out if you can assure gold membership to Xbox Live.
Yeah, it's just like an unlimited data plan.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like how like when you hook up when you get a new internet provider or whatever, they throw you a modem as part of the install package.
I'm kind of sad about that. Like, I mean, just sitting here talking about it, I'm just like, I mean, and I'll even talk about this with the Wii U. I came home, I plugged it in, and I had to update for 4 hours. Like, I'm real sad that the days are gone of going and picking up a console without possibly a contract, possibly a day one patch. You know what I'm saying? Updating every single game that I have, before I even get to play it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, well, that's probably part of the reason why Nintendo did such a soft launch to their console as well. And they even said so in their investor report that they didn't want to have to launch with that day one patch, and they wanted to get the spring update onto those consoles to bring it up to where it should be before they push it.
Right.
Well, you know what I think is that if they do go with this sort of subscription model where you can get your game at GameStop and they're gonna be like, oh, if you get the subscription, we're gonna throw in Xbox Gold or whatever, and all of this crap. We will do it here for you. Sort of like when you go to Sprint and they do everything that needs to be done to your phone to activate it, the whole thing. They do it right there for you with their own system, and they take care of everything. I think it's gonna be like that now with GameStop, for example. You're gonna go there, they're gonna have high-speed internet, they're gonna get all the updates done real quick, etc., etc., and then they just give you your console. Here it is.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if you walk in, or for Christmas, for instance, if you have to buy a $500 console and like a couple of like $60 games or whatever, what they'd probably much rather deal with is it's Christmas time. Don't worry about those massive prices. Pay us $60 a month or $40 a month or whatever. Here's an Xbox 360. You've spent $40 for your Christmas budget, and you've got your new Xbox and a game or something happening with it.
Mm-hmm.
So you just go straight, just like a phone plan subscription model. It's just like it's much smaller pieces of money, but it's going to be spread out over a couple of years for you.
Well,
it'll inflate the numbers. Yeah. I mean, it'll make the numbers look really good.
Yeah, definitely will sell a lot more. But then the thing is, they will get you on, just like Xbox Gold, I guess. They're gonna basically charge you for the rest of your life every month. This is the price you pay now monthly to play video games.
Yeah, but I mean, it's been so successful with the Call of Duty crowd on the Xbox 360.
Yeah, and I guess it makes sense too. I mean, people do it for Netflix. Pay monthly fee and you watch all the movies you want. Of course, it's not the same deal because you wouldn't be playing all the games you want. You still have to buy them.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, I see a little bit of how it can work.
Yeah, and I think if either of them's going to do it, that'll be Microsoft's play, and that could really upset Sony as well.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I tell you what it's going to do is, like I said, it's going to inflate the numbers. You're going to look really, really good to third parties by having, 10 million consoles sold instantly, because basically you're giving them away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, if they can then secure the support, it's self-fulfilling, and you generate support from support, and made up numbers help.
That's right. It's interesting. I mean, like I said, the price, how all that's going to work is what I'm really, really curious about. You know what I'm saying, on the 21st. Just because, like I said, I don't know. I've just never been. I don't know. I've never graphics just haven't ever impressed me. I just like to play games. So, I was really thinking that Microsoft was going to do something innovative, and they may still do it. Don't get it twisted on that. But just after seeing what the PlayStation 4 did, I just got this feeling that Microsoft's going to be much the same. I could be very wrong, though.
All the they've done a couple of their out there wacky demo ideas. Every now and then they have a concept which gets pushed out just to show the brand image. Things like the Illumi Room.
Yeah.
And they did their whole Surface integration. They pushed that pretty hard a little while ago, and now it's pretty much nothing.
Yeah. Smart Glass was real big at E3 last year. Or, well, they were thinking that it could be potentially big later on down the road.
Yeah, but it's kind of like that. It's got the peripheral issue of you can't assume that everyone has it, therefore it can't become core gameplay. So all it can be is fluff, really.
Right.
Not to mention, you don't want to upset your brosis, who will die before they give up a dual stick controller.
Yeah. I mean, everybody loves to wake up with the claw.
Yeah.
And Nintendo's done has done the interesting thing this coming generation, from what we know so far, in that it's not playing the same game, it's not going down the power route again, but they still have a way of nicking being the definitive versions of games, even if they can't win on a technical prowess, a level of technical prowess, by offering these alternative ways to play.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
and
they got some stuff that they could roll out with the gamepad.
Yeah. I think the big one, which it was shown for 20 seconds or something at their E3 reveal of the system, was the Wii U Zapper thing, which from what I saw, I mean, they had it was like the pre-release version of the gamepad stuck to it, so it was very old footage, and it was literally the Wii Zapper with the gamepad stuck on it.
Right.
It was barely disguised. But if they did a properly integrated like Wii U Zapper, so similar shape to the other gun frame, but not obviously housing a Wiimote at all, just with basically a nunchuck stick built into it, so it's like a proper controller. Nunchuck stick built into one end and a couple of buttons built into the other end, a little bit of wiring to hook it to the gamepad. If you look on the reverse side of the gamepad, there's actually a little screw hole as well, like a solid mount, which is probably what is going to hook it to the Zapper so it doesn't fall off. And then you have this amazing Oculus Rifty style of interaction with first-person shooters, where you can use the gyro aiming and look through the screen, and get an almost fake 3D world happening with incredible accuracy and speed.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like what I guess the demo that you're talking about was whenever they was shooting at the Mii's in the window. I guess the kind of what you're talking about now is where they, in that same demo, they laid the gamepad down on the floor and there was a golf ball and it turned your floor into a sand pit. Where it's just different parts.
Yeah.
You'll be able to look around different parts of your room and it's like a window.
Yeah, it's like looking down the scope of a gun and seeing the game in there. It reminds me of the old arcade games a little bit, except you're not restricted. Yeah, but you're not having to look at you're completely free from the TV, so you can look behind yourself, and that's you looking behind yourself. And while I understand that it's not for everyone all the time, that sometimes you do just want to sit on your ass and shoot people in Call of Duty without turning around on the spot.
Right.
Without integrating your whole body. But offering that as an alternative way to play is just a massive, feature add for any game dev.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if that could be something big for them at E3 or in the Nintendo Direct. I mean, I wonder if they're planning on unveiling a game that literally shows what would actually be a good Nintendo game that would show something like that, where you really...
Pretty much all of them.
Yeah, I mean, with pilot wings... flying around your room?
Pilot wings, yeah, it would be cool. If you could add a mode like that where you hold your gamepad and you do things, besides the TV. They could easily do it with Metroid. I mean, I could talk forever about this, just how Other M, for example, we could get a sequel to Other M that would actually be, using the gamepad, it would actually make all of the ideas that were in Other M, but that weren't so well implemented, I guess. It would bring them pretty close to perfection. Just, for example, the fact that you can have first-person shooting and third-person moving and platforming, that's easy as pie with the gamepad. You have the screen, and you have your gamepad.
Yeah.
What else do you want?
Your TV would play like Other M without aiming, just like it normally did. And then you're first-person mode, I'm just going to look at my gamepad now and play it like it's Prime, it's Metroid Prime.
Yep.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and you still have you pretty much have your buttons set up just like a SNES controller anyway. So you have that.
Yeah.
You have you can do all sorts of crazy stuff, man.
Yeah, I mean, into Eternal Darkness, I guess you could walk into a room and to examine the room or just to stand there and just look around, you could literally turn your living room into the game room just by looking through your gamepad. You know what I'm saying? Looking up, you could look at the ceiling and it would show you the details there. Or, you know what I'm saying? It could be really, really creepy.
Yeah, it'd be it sort of would be the trope of the detective with the magnifying glass. You can see your game world and your character in it on the TV, and then you investigate it with the gamepad.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally scanning is already in the Metroid Primes and in Other M, so just make that into the gamepad. That's man. They have it. All the design is already in place. They just have to implement it.
You could make your living room Fendrana drifts from front, back, side to side, up above.
Yeah, connected with Ilomi room, and now you have Fendrana drifts in your room, and you move around with the gamepad.
I mean, that would be I mean, that is really cool. I mean, thinking about having that little window there and, where I got a lamp in my living room, I could point it at the lamp and it would actually be part of inside of the game. Not the actual lamp, but just that section of my living room.
Yeah.
I would be looking at it adjacent to what's going on my TV screen, except just looking at it through that little. Man, that is pretty awesome to think about.
Yeah, but I think like if you combined, like I just imagine like playing Eternal Darkness with a gamepad which had those stereo cameras on it, just like the 3DS has, and then using the power of the Wii, like just the grunt of the Wii U to pull that augmented reality trick, it would look amazing. You'd be able to put stuff in your actual room, like you're looking through a gamepad in a 3D world, and shit's popping out at you.
That would be, man, could you imagine Eternal Darkness like that? I'm liable to not, I mean, that would be wicked crazy. I mean, you talk about hallucinating effects. You'd be wiping your eyes and stuff. You'd be asking yourself, man, what kicked in from the 90s all of a sudden? You know what I'm saying? Like, what did I put in my body that has come back to haunt me? I mean, that would be insane.
Yeah, I always thought that it was a missed opportunity that the gamepad only had a front-facing camera on it. I thought if it had stereo cameras on it, because when the 3DS came out, I bought one on launch day, and the augmented reality features of it were like really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can make that little hole like pop out, like you know when you put like the AR card down and it would like sink a hole into the table and stuff.
Yeah,
it
was pretty good.
Yeah, probably properly tricks your brain.
You know which one I like? There was one with a clock, or sort of a little clock tower thing, or something similar like that. You know, if you looked at it from the side, yeah, it was just this little clock thing popping up. But if you got up above it and you looked at it, the thing popped up, it popped like way out of the screen, like you could feel it right on top of your nose. Felt amazing. That to me was like, oh my god, like I didn't believe they had so much versatility.
Yeah, and if you combined, like if you had like the 3D screen from the 3DS in the gamepad, and then you put that on the Wii U Zapper, the one thing about the 3DS was it has to be that you have to keep it at that right distance from your face to stop the immersion breaking.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you've got that in a Zapper, it's like if you put a stock on it, then you have like the distance is perfectly set.
Basically, what you're saying is that I can be sitting there facing my TV, I can turn around, look at a guy behind me, and if that 3D was popping out, even if I had a wall behind me, it would look like an extremely long hallway with maybe a guy popping out at the very end of it.
Yeah, you could really screw with things.
Yes, you could really make me not play Eternal Darkness after something like that.
I mean, I'm really interested in Oculus Rift for that reason, but we'll talk about it in a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, in a little bit in the next podcast.
There's one thing which has been bugging me about the Oculus Rift, which is in terms of first-person shooters, which is where most of the effort seems to be put. You can play. Imagine to play a first-person shooter on a PC with Oculus Rift, you have to be playing with a keyboard and mouse, so you have to be sitting still, facing one direction essentially, because you can't turn around and use a mouse. So what that means is you're using your head basically like a head tracker to look around.
Yeah.
So you're going to run into the same bounding box like learning curve that the Wiimote first-person shooters had. You're not going to have perfectly free looking. You won't be able to look behind yourself and then shoot a guy because you can't turn your head around completely 180 degrees. So you're going to have to use look left 45 degrees, and it'll start panning your view left. So you got the bounding exactly like the bounding boxes on a Wiimote FPS.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, at which point I would rather play with a Wiimote.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, we'll do it, man. We'll figure it out somebody will figure it out, and you're gonna post it on Nintendo Enthusiast, and then I'm gonna go home and do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is a way to play Armor 2 with two Wiimotes. One tracks your head, and one works just like... So basically, it's using head tracking and free aiming. But you can do bounding box as well. You can play it like an old-school Wiimote for first-person shooter.
Well,
that was... Yeah. I think we've run out of things to say, haven't we, about this?
No, but I don't want to mention Call of Duty again because, well, I guess we were already in the topic of things to use the gamepad on. So I guess it would be, I can bring up quick how the strike missions in Call of Duty Black Ops 2, they had all the potential in the world. Literally, they could have been like a better showcase of what the gamepad can do than Nintendo Land. But for some reason, they didn't do anything with it. For those that don't know, the strike missions in Call of Duty Black Ops 2 were sort of an offshoot of the single-player campaign. They were optional missions. And the whole idea of them is that they're very strategic compared to the main game. The idea is that you have a number of troops on the ground, you have a number of different units, you have some ground units, you have some robots, you have some drones, you have all sorts of things, and you're supposed to, from your bird's eye view, you're supposed to say, these ones go here, these other ones go there, and then once you have things in place, you can say, now I want to play with the little guy, or I want to play with the little robot, and you go down and you play with him in first person, just as any good old Call of Duty. So this opens up a lot of opportunities for them to use the gamepad. Just first of all, it would have been the most obvious thing to have everything set up with touch controls so that you can literally just touch this unit goes here, this unit goes there, instead of using the stupid cursor with dual analog sticks like they did in the final product. Then you have the possibility of co-op play, which would allow for one player to be on the ground as a troop and the other player to be the commander using the gamepad. I don't know, man. There was so much stuff to do with that game, with those strike missions, that they really missed out on all the opportunities.
Yeah, the local co-op thing would have been awesome, of having someone command and someone run around on the ground, and work together. But that whole strike mission thing. It just smacks of natural selection too, as well, which I'm going to keep harping on about until it comes to the Wii U. Hopefully they're listening to us as well. Yeah, because I mean, the touchscreen gives you like perfect precision control for like dropping health packs on soldiers. You can pan around the battlefield and assign locations and checkpoints and waypoints for people to go to. And then you can use the same gamepad to play like a first-person shooter, just as is on Black Ops 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't believe, I mean, having strike missions available as like a multiplayer mode as well, like if they really fleshed it out and made it into a multiplayer game in Call of Duty, it would have added like a whole other dimension to their... I mean, they've been trying to break into the competitive like first-person space, like make it into an e-sport.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just not happening without like proper like tactical play.
Yeah, it's not happening as long as you have red shells and blue shells flying into the air and then bombing you, and three other guys with a single kill. I mean, with a single explosion.
It's kind of like Cubit says. I mean, you know, there's a lot of ways to make it the definitive version to, you know what I'm saying, combat the graphics. You know, you don't have to have the greatest graphics to be the definitive version. You know, as long as they could just, you know, put these options in and things like that, then, you know what I'm saying, they got their selling point right there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. There was actually, it was a game I played on the Wii a very, very long time ago. It was Battalion Wars 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I hope they announce it.
I know. Yeah, that would be, because we were just talking about like all the strike mission stuff and things, and I was just thinking, wait, that's Battalion Wars.
Yeah.
I played that. Yeah, that got no love, that game. It just died. Like, it was one of the launch games, or very, very close to the launch of the Wii, I think.
Mm-hmm.
2007. Yeah.
It was very good, but
I really liked it.
yeah, I think just wasn't intuitive enough. Like it always was a bit of an issue to switch between units and try to command. You know, in order to beat a game like that properly, to play it properly, you have to, you kind of start wanting to multitask. You want to say, well, these guys go here, these other guys go there, and I'm gonna do this. But it's really difficult there because you're always having to switch between the members of your team, and it takes like several buttons, and you have to memorize the sequence of buttons just to get to one specific character, and it's always changing depending on the number of people you have and the types. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what's prevented it from getting picked up and played a lot by a lot of people.
But if Nintendo wanted to look through their back catalog and go, okay, how are we going to showcase the gamepad?
That's the obvious one.
I know, let's pick something which is like basically an RTS, which is like, a no-brainer for, it doesn't work on consoles unless you have like a controller like this.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because it's a whole genre which is floundered on consoles forever.
Yeah, no.
And now they've come along.
Yeah, they've definitely got the tool to be able to make it awesome. Or make it relevant, I guess you would say. Yeah.
So Nintendo, in addition to whatever else you're doing, take a look at this one for us. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please, Nintendo, subscribe to our podcast. Thank you.
Oh, wouldn't that be weird?
Just watch, man. Like in less than a week, we're gonna get a Nintendo Direct, and we're gonna see Battalion WiiU.
I hope that we're right. I mean, I hope that we're right about these things. But I mean, it has been weird that we've talked about these topics and like 2 days later after 2 different podcasts, it's popped up to be, true. But anyways, hopefully a lot of our stuff tonight comes true.
Yeah, well, we are what, a month. We're exactly I'm exactly a month away from E3. Well, actually, no, I'm not.
No.
Tomorrow is a month, isn't it?
No, it's June the 11th. So.
Oh, it's the 11th. Oh, okay. I thought it was on it. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's it. Oh, yeah. That's right. Because there was some announcement that Tuesday morning, where Nintendo usually has its big show, which apparently it isn't having this year. Miyamoto and Reggie are going to be doing a thing. They're going to have a show which apparently isn't the big show, but it's still a show. And if Reggie's involved, they'll probably be talking about making games, taking names, that sort of thing.
Kicking ass.
Yep.
Yeah. So their bodies are ready.
Yep. We'll have a couple of podcasts in between now and then, so maybe we'll get a couple more juicy nuggets like, ED2.
Yeah.
Because we should have some directs coming out.
Yeah, there should be a direct this month. So, yeah, we're running out of time for that. So, interesting.
Yep. Yeah, just get to it, Nintendo. Come on.
Yeah. They've got to go back to the editing room and just splice this stuff back in for us before they release it.
But thank you for Eternal Darkness too. You've made me very happy. If you're listening.
Yeah. Good. Now don't screw it up, Dennis.
That's right.
I feel like I should go buy 2 human just to prove, just to show my support, just to say thank you.
No, don't do that.
Don't do that to yourself.
No, don't do that. don't get crazy. Let's just wish for the virtual console of Eternal Darkness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Or if anything, just go back and buy a copy of one of their other games for the GameCube.
Yeah.
The Metal Gear game was actually quite good. Twin Snakes was actually quite good.
Yeah, if you can find it.
Yeah. Again, it had the same issue as Eternal Darkness of just not selling.
Yep. Quite rare.
Well, that's all cool. Okay, I think we're done here for today. Yep. We've run over 40 minutes, but let's not worry about that.
It's all good.
It's all good, man. We can just keep on rolling.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight, or today, or this morning, wherever it is.
Like us, and subscribe.
Yeah. Yes, do all that stuff. Comment if you want to comment. Like us if you like us. Please like us. Why don't you like us?
Subscribe to be good. I mean, anything that you're feeling, just leave it here.
Yeah. So yeah, goodbye everybody, and we'll see you on 4chan sometime in the future.
Gentlemen, have a good night.
Good night.
Later.